God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. This is the Nathan Napalm channel, and if you are new here, please consider subscribing, especially if you're interested in Pantheon related content, because that's what we do here. Today, guys, I want to talk about something very interesting, okay? Something I think about a lot, and what it is basically is the 5 ways that Pantheon will revolutionize the MMO genre. And I have a lot of faith that it is going to, and that they're going to make it, I'm not going to say to the very top, okay? I don't think that they'll pass up the peak days of World of Warcraft. But that's what I want to talk about. So you don't have to get that far to get on the top and to be a major player in the MMORPG genre. For example, Final Fantasy XIV, Elder Scrolls Online, those are very successful, highly praised MMOs on the market today, and they don't have anywhere near the kind of concurrent players that World of Warcraft had back in its heyday. And that's the thing, guys. So all VR really has to do is deliver on the promises and the features we all know and love about Pantheon that they've already talked about, that we know, that we talk about on this channel non-stop. And if you don't know what those are, please go to my playlist here on my channel and just scroll through, because I've probably talked and got a video for every feature that we are aware of at this time. Guys, that's what they need to do in order to be successful. And what is success in the MMO genre these days? So in my opinion, what I'd like to see, and we talked about this last night in the Final Fantasy XI stream on the Pantheon Plus channel, but what I'd like to see is what I think would be highly successful for a game like Pantheon Rise of the Fallen would be 500,000 players, 500,000. You know what I mean? That's a big number. That would be great. That's what I'm hoping for. And that would create great revenue. It would be considered highly successful. And most importantly, it would turn the heads of the industry. You know what I mean? It would capture their attention. So 500,000 players. Let's just say the game releases at $50 for a game, right? To actually buy the game itself. That's 25 million right there. Okay, what about the sub fee? $15, right? You get, we don't really know, but let's just assume it's the basic $14.95 or what have you, 15 bucks. That's 7.5 million monthly, okay? That's pretty freaking good. Now keep in mind though, that at the course they're on right now at least, they won't have to split the cost to pay back a publisher or anything like that. This game was funded for development by the players, the Pantheons. Also, they're going with cloud servers, which really cuts down the cost of maintenance and the resources of the team. All of this adds up to what I would call a mighty success, even if it's half of that, okay? Which I still think would be successful. And let's say it's somewhere around 250,000 players, okay? You still end up with right around 13 million for the game sales and 3.75 million for sub fees monthly. And once again, that's assuming it'll be $15 per month. Now that's still a huge success and still a definite head turner. Now, I believe that this will happen simply once again by VR delivering, which of course, I have full confidence that they will. So if that is how I am defining success, what sort of impact would that have on the industry and the MMO genre as a whole? Let's dive into that. So number one, it would obviously prove that there are more avenues to take other than the World of Warcraft clone route. It would mean that it just kind of opens up Pandora's box, right? Like, you don't have to stick with the same exact cycle, the same exact amount of systems, and the way things work, and the way endgame works, and the way gear works, and the way death works, and the way the whole world is made, and the way that players go through the world. You don't have to always do it like World of Warcraft. It would prove that there is a way to do things that is actually older than World of Warcraft, and that there is a big player base of people who want that kind of gameplay. Okay, it proves it, and that is very important to me because it's been so long since we've even had an MMO that we could prove that we would put our money where our mouth is. And of course, this leads us to number 2, new genres of MMOs. Developers and publishers being more willing to try new things and break new grounds, okay? And I mean actual new genres. I mean, just like Brad McQuaid said one time, so I don't want to steal it from his mouth without saying that I'm kind of loosely quoting him, Well, you can go see a movie and you can see all kinds of genres of movies. You can see horror, comedy, action, all kinds of romance even. All these options, right? But somehow in the MMORPG genre, we don't have a lot of options within that category, right? We need more sub-options and more subcategories, and just to spice up the genre. And a lot of people aren't taking any chances, you know? They want to stick with fantasy, they don't want to try anything new. And this would make people, even though technically this is a fantasy MMORPG, but it's done so differently that I believe it would open up new genres, new subcategories of the MMORPG game space. And that leads us to number 3, which is that more companies making similar games that value the risk versus reward, the challenge and the depth. Okay, so building actual worlds again, instead of building systems that we get addicted to. Instead, build a world that we're addicted to be in. That's what Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is doing. They're building an actual world with history, with lore, with ways for you to investigate that lore that are real time, that are realistic, that are fun, that are engaging and immersive. You know what I mean? So this, just by Pantheon being successful, it will prove that works, that people, that's what we like, that's when we fall in love, and that's when we continue subbing month after month and continue playing, and we get addicted, and we put all this time and energy into the game, and it's all we're talking about, and you know, on and on. So by it being successful, other developers and publishers will be more willing to do that kind of game, the kind of game that Pantheon is at its roots. And number 4, of course, if it's successful, it's going to launch Visionary Realms into the spotlight as a true contender in the MMO space. It could possibly and most likely open up their development team to become larger. And as they become larger, who knows? Let's go off on a wild conspiracy, if you don't mind. What if they got so big that they ended up splitting their teams and they had a team begin working on another MMO? And even better than that, what if they started working on single-player RPG like nerdy D&D CRPGs? I mean, who knows? What if they got so big that they made a console version of Pantheon? And I don't mean they just take the game and make it, you know, squeeze it into working on a console. I mean something like what EverQuest did with EverQuest Online Adventures. Imagine that. Imagine if they got so big they decided, yeah, you know what, let's go to consoles. You know, that's a good market for MMOs. You know, there's a lot of people that would probably on an MMO, on a console, or the consoles, would love to play an MMO that's difficult. But so they maybe they use the resources, you know what I mean? They kind of pick and choose between the resources they already have, and they make this console version like a Pantheon Online Adventures for consoles. How freaking sweet would that be? Now, I know I'm overhyping it a little bit because this is all just theories. Once again, I warned you I was going to conspiracy a little bit. But, I mean, seriously, by getting bigger opens up their options, makes their team able to expand, and these are the kind of cool things that can happen from that. Okay, and number 5, the last one, and really important to me, would be putting Brad McQuaid back on the throne where he belongs. He risked everything through blood, sweat, and tears, and he rose above. You want to talk about Rise of the Fallen, right? And Brad McQuaid back on the throne can mean absolutely nothing but good for MMORPGs in general. Brad McQuaid back in the spotlight, back in the mouths of all the MMO players, with this fantastic game on the market, with good numbers, with good rapport, with good reviews, with a good healthy player base. This can't be anything but awesome for the genre. And that's my 5 things, guys. I know I went up a little bit crazy, maybe a little bit off the deep end of the pool there for a second, but I mean, it's not that far really. I mean, if they just stick with the vision, if they stick with these features and this type of gameplay and everything, I mean, the appeal for this is huge. Just recently, actually, there was a tweet where a guy was asking which of these 3 MMOs are you most excited for, and I don't know, he had games like Illyria, I don't remember, I'm sorry, but I don't follow a lot of these MMOs because I'm so into Pantheon, but he listed 3 MMOs on there, and Pantheon wasn't one of them, let me just put it that way, and overwhelmingly, people are picking other, and they're writing Pantheon Rise of the Fallen at Pantheon MMO. This game is huge, man. There's a lot of people waiting for this game, and a lot of them are in the woods, man. And what I mean by they're in the woods is they haven't put their money out yet because they're waiting, because they've been burned, because they don't trust it 100% yet, because they want to see more, because they want to know for a fact that they're making good investment, because they just don't back projects until the game comes out. A lot of people don't. I'm not knocking those people. I know you're out there, though. I know many of you listen to my videos because you tell me about it. So I know there's a lot of you out there, and that is fine, and you can do that, and you'll still be supporting the game when it comes out. Now, I personally, if I'm able to convince you, I would say go get you a pledge package, even one of the smaller ones. Go ahead and reserve. It's like reserving the game. You've already got the game paid for, and it helps development come faster. So of course I'm going to push you to that. I'm going to say, hey, no, go ahead, get your little pledge package. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and get one, support the game, help them get this game out faster to us, because I'm selfish and I want the game as quick as possible. But I understand why people maybe are holding out, and a lot of them are. We don't know how many, but a lot. Okay, and that's not even to mention just the amount of money they're going to make off the throwaway gamers. And what I mean by throwaway gamers is the people who will get the game when it comes out because it's a new MMO, period. It's a new MMO. We don't have a whole lot of options. A new one comes out. Millions of people just show up, you know, like first month, 30 days, and they're out of there. Maybe 90 days max. 6 months is stretching it, okay? And they're out of there. They're just there for the hype train, for the honeymoon, you know, that new game feeling that you get, that new MMO feeling. Not to mention all the content creators are going to be all over it. I mean, it's going to get wild for a while. These honeymoon game players will go away, though. They'll go away, and you know, the subs will drop, the player base will drop. But it's going to be wild for a little while, because every time an MMO does come out, and so I didn't even take into effect when I was doing the math on what I consider success. I didn't even take into effect because that's a wild card. Who knows exactly how it's going to be? But there will also be a lot of people who are here to stay that haven't invested in the game yet because they're waiting. But once this game comes out, as long once again as it delivers, then they're going to be there for good, okay? And they're going to be making their home in Pantheon. There's people just as excited as me and you and the other content creators, etc., out there in the world who are just as excited, but they're not going to invest their money until the game is out or super close to being out, or they feel comfortable with it, okay? It's just the way it is. Guys, anyway, I've rambled on long enough. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Hope I made you think a little bit, especially if you're listening, Visionary Realms. Think about that idea I had. If you guys are successful, you should think about doing, using the resources you've already developed for Pantheon and make a Pantheon Online Adventures console game. I mean, I know Pantheon Rise of the Fallen's not even out. I'm just saying that's something to put on the back burner, kind of like you would with an expansion idea. You know what I mean? Just put it on the back burner. Don't waste your time on it right now. Get Pantheon Rise of the Fallen out for PC. That's your core market. It's gonna be your core game. Don't worry about it right now. Don't waste resources on it. But one day, when you have more resources to spend, you should consider that really cool thought and option. Alright guys, thanks for joining me today, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It really helps the channel out. Once again, go check out some of my other videos. I got tons of them. I don't just cover Pantheon. I talk about other MMOs, especially the old school types. I also talk about RPGs, JRPGs, CRPGs, so check it out. Check out the channel. Enjoy yourself. Binge watch. And until next time, guys, God bless and happy gaming. Please listen to what I say. I've been making videos all day. My friends all say I'm it's a video buffet. You can even hit replay. But please just subscribe. I can't even describe being part of my tribe. I'll even offer you a prize. But please just subscribe and hit the bell notification too.